Yo, what up, YouTube? We are back. This time we got a little bit different. It's instead of a reaction to a music video, we're reacting to, and let me minimize this a little. Oh shit. Go back.
Stray Kids has gone from survival.
Hold on, wait a minute. We're gonna be reacting to The Rise of Stray Kids by Johnathan Miller music. A lot of Stray Kids fans told me to kind of look into like a quick guide or like their background before jumping into the new album or EP that they're dropping tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to familiarize myself a little bit before I dive into the entire EP.
Show group to worldwide sensation in just a few short years. They've sold over 10 million albums, becoming the first
to the EP probably like Saturday night, because so the album comes out technically tonight. But I'll be working all day Friday, and I don't want to listen to it, without like having it recorded, so that way I get like an actual reaction off of it. So I'll probably won't. The earliest I'll be able to watch it will probably be like Saturday morning. So
first
anyway,
JYP act to have one album sell over 1 million copies with No Easy. Time magazine recognized Backdoor as one of the 10 best songs of 2020. They are also the third Korean act ever to top the Billboard 200 in the USA. But why? What makes Stray Kids so special, and why should you care? What's up, friends? I'm Johnathan Miller, and welcome back to Johnathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. Stray Kids has become a dominating boy group in the K-pop world that is still on its meteoric rise in popularity. Sitting on the cusp of K-pop's ending third generation and budding fourth generation,
We are a part of the fourth generation.
Stray Kids is a unique group not only for its genetic makeup, but as an everlasting product of the time in which they debuted with JYP. JYP Entertainment is one of the biggest entertainment companies in K-pop, and for good reason. Aside from the many memes about the company and JYP himself, there's a reason why the company has the presence that it does now in K-pop and the music industry as a whole. So let's roll back the clocks a little bit. Established in 1997, originally as Taehong Planning Corporation during the Asian financial crisis by Park Jin-young, JYP Entertainment has grown into a multinational conglomerate.
When you started this whole record label, did you ever picture that it would get this big?
Hell no.
Its founder, JYP, was an artist, producer, and songwriter before creating the company, dropping multiple studio albums, and one of the biggest South Korean hits of 1994, Don't Leave Me. During his college years, he frequently lived with and became friends with other producers and composers, including Bang Si-hyuk, who would eventually go on to launch the icons you might have heard of, BTS. The two of them worked closely with one another for a number of years, including helping to launch G.O.D's first studio album in 1999 with Citus HQ. Even though it was initially a struggle as the strain of the Asian financial crisis was still taking its toll on South Korea. Luckily, following its successful launch with JYP as their mentor, G.O.D became a well-known act in K-pop. After signing Rain in 2000, however, is when Taehong Planning Corporation put itself on the map. Rebranding as the JYP Entertainment we know today, Rain became one of the biggest acts in all of K-pop and in all of Asia when its Raining sold over 250,000 copies, an uncommon and massive feat for a South Korean act. K-pop was clearly starting to spread. The mid-2000s saw a rapid growth in technology and the internet. McBling fashion, cell phone culture, and electropop began to be the dominating sound in music throughout the remainder of the decade. Another force of the 2000s in the new era of celebrity culture that began to make waves with the public around the globe were reality TV shows.
Jump into
in the description.
I don't want to get too much of just like K-pop or origins. I was just really just here for like the Stray Kids part.
In the
I'm
description.
sure there's like some important stuff in there. But just for like time's sake, because it is like a 20-minute video.
Stray Kids, much as their name implies, is a bit of an odd man out in JYP. Beginning as a survival show in 2017 of the same name, rather than trying to make it to the end past elimination rounds and be voted on by the public to debut as a group like 16, which launched twice, Stray Kids the show featured a group that was pre-selected and judged by JYP on individual skill and unexpected teamwork missions. Selected not exactly by JYP, but by its eventual leader, Bang Chan. Coming from experience in ballet and modern dance, Bang Christopher Chan passed the JYP auditions in 2010 and
so it's not Bang Chan, it's Bang Chan.
moved from Australia to
Got it.
South Korea, where he trained for 7 years. Bangtan trained alongside members of Twice, GOT7, Day 6, and has spoken about how lonely he got watching his friends debut or leave the company. Still determined though, he enrolled in MIDI classes to learn more about music production. MIDI stands for Music Instrument Digital Interface, and essentially deals with the technical side of connecting multiple music devices, instruments, and computers, and all the audio equipment that's used to record and edit music. In other words, it's a technical standard set up in 1983 so that audio recording devices and instruments like synthesizers
I
and
know what
computers
MIDI
all
is.
know how to
I know all
communicate
this
with one
background
another.
stuff, but
It's big brain
I essentially
energy,
thought it
which
was like
Bangtan used to form Three
keyboards
Racha and drop music as a trainee.
drum machine
Another
and
member
stuff.
of Three Racha, Han, spent multiple years studying in Malaysia, eventually graduating over there. He took a year off and told his parents to give him 1 year to get signed to a K-pop agency, and if he didn't get signed, he'd return to Malaysia. However, nearing the end of his 1 year, his friend convinced him to audition for JYP, which he reluctantly did, thinking there was no way he'd get in. But he did. Shout out to that friend. As part of Three Racha, he released his first mixtape with his group mates in 2017. If you're not familiar, a mixtape is a little bit different from an album or an EP, and is a term originating from the 1980s to describe a homemade compilation of songs on a cassette. However, mixtapes in this context come from Black R&B and hip-hop culture to describe a self-produced and independently released, oftentimes for free, collection of music by an artist. Usually less cohesive in sound than a regular album, and containing any number of tracks, whereas studio albums used to typically contain on average anywhere from 10 to 14 songs. Mixtapes are often dropped underground and used to showcase many different talents or different sounds on one body of work from an artist. Nowadays, because of streaming freeing artists from the runtime and data limitations of a physical CD, the hard line between album and mixtape often gets blurred, but there is a difference. Anyway, Han trained at JYP for 3 years, where he met the final member of Three Racha, Changbin. Changbin, whom was told by Young Hyun Suk of YG Entertainment that he was one of the best. Anyway,
At least I'm getting like actual pronunciations of their names.
Han trained at JYP for 3 years, where he met the final member of Three Racha, Changbin. Changbin, whom was told by Young Hyun Suk of YG Entertainment that he was one of the best rappers he'd heard from JYP, once performed at a school festival to Taeyong's Ring-a-Linga. Upon being accepted into JYP Entertainment, his supportive parents called him a genius and said had they known he was so good, they would have gotten him into music earlier and more seriously. Changbin trained at JYP for about 2 years, and together with Bangtan and Han, Three Racha would go on to primarily write and produce nearly all of Stray Kids' music, something that doesn't happen very often in K-pop. The trio would also eventually be promoted to regular members of the Korea Music Copyright Association in 2023, a non-profit organization that exists to support its members' copyrighted content by protecting their intellectual property rights. Each year, based on the amount of royalties they've accrued in the past 3 years, the KOMCA promotes 25 junior members to regulars, which then gives them the right to vote at the KOMCA general meetings. Fun fact, the first K-pop musician to be promoted to a regular member was G-Dragon in 2011, and other artists now include Suga, RM, J-Hope, Woozi, Boa, and IU. Another member of Stray Kids, Woojin, graduated from the School of Performing Arts, Seoul, and was originally a trainee under SM Entertainment, training alongside members of NCT. Originally a main vocalist in Stray Kids, he eventually left the group for personal reasons and went on to pursue a successful solo career with his debut solo mini-album dropping in 2021. Seungmin lived a short time in LA, where he learned a bit of English while in the 4th grade. He eventually came in second at JYP Entertainment's 13th open audition, where he never missed a day of training and only trained for about a year before joining Stray Kids. Jungin, also known as IN, is the maknae and youngest member of Stray Kids. As a kid, he often performed Korean trop music.
Building your online business?
Got hit by the ads.
Go to Wix.com and
skip all this.
Stemming from the Japanese occupation of Korea, trop music comes from the word foxtrot, which is a style of ballroom dance, but Korean trop music's signature sound involves repetitive rhythms and vocal flexing. IN was also a model as a kid before joining JYP Entertainment, where he trained for 2 years. Eventually, as a member of Stray Kids, he dropped the bop that is maknae on top, which, by the way, in case you've never heard it, if you happen to be the youngest member of your family like I am, consider it your new life anthem. Hyunjin actually has
guess I
always
wouldn't
loved
relate to that
singing
song.
and participated in many competitions. He and his family moved to Las Vegas, Nevada for a brief time when he was 6 years old before moving back to Korea. One day, while shopping with his mother, he was grabbed by the wrist by a JYP scout and handed a business card to audition. Originally creeped out and skeptical, rightfully so, he eventually did go to the audition where he passed and trained for 2 years. Lino started dancing in middle school and was actually featured in a National Geographic segment long before he joined JYP.
Any one of these hopefuls could be the next big thing in K-pop.
He also was a backup dancer for BTS on their Japan tour and even was a featured dancer in BTS's music video for Not Today. Lino trained at JYP for a year before actually being eliminated during the Stray Kids show in episode 4. Another member who was eliminated on the show was Felix. Felix once told GQ Australia that he didn't expect a person like him who was already trying to be like Bangtan to be picked by him to potentially join the group. Also coming from Australia and only training for about a year, Felix had difficulty with learning Korean, which contributed to his elimination in the 8th episode. However, in a surprise twist perfect for reality television, JYP gave Felix and Lino another chance to see if Stray Kids would debut as a 7-member group or a 9-member group, ultimately becoming the latter. Their pre-debut song Elevator, a song composed on the show, debuted at number 2 on the Circle chart in November 2017. Stray Kids was officially on their way to launch a brand new generation of K-pop. The third generation of K-pop is a rather unique one, because it's largely where K-pop acts began to really break through in the West. As millennials got older and many Gen 2 groups began to disband or go on hiatus, newer acts at the time like Red Velvet, Twice, BTS, Blackpink, and more captured the attention of coming-of-age Gen Z. Twitter was flooded with fan cams spreading the word about their favorite groups. YouTube became more intrinsic to music culture after Psy's Gangnam Style became the first video ever to pass a billion views.
That was crazy times whenever that show was like what, 2000? Yeah, that was 2012. That show, I think that was probably like the first K-pop song I had ever heard in my life. And then he did that song with Snoop Dogg, like Who's Your Daddy or something like that.
Social media challenges, BTS collaborating with...
What the fuck happened to PSY? Does he like still make music? Does he not make music? Was he like a one-hit wonder?
Halsey and other Western acts, or Blackpink and Dua Lipa, helped thrust open the eyes of Western audiences to K-pop. Gen 3 acts were tasked with a very tricky challenge of trying to spread Korean culture, but also trying to figure out how to rapidly adapt to the Western market, which has notoriously not been very welcoming to Eastern acts. But not just in the West though, because K-pop's popularity was growing everywhere. JYP joined Tencent Music Entertainment to launch Boy Story, a Chinese-based boy group, in 2016. Twice was beginning to crush it in Japan, becoming one of the most popular K-pop girl groups over there, behind acts like Kara and Girls' Generation. The global stage was set, and Stray Kids was ready to help JYP Nation knock every last remaining border down. As K-pop began to grow, so did misconceptions surrounding it. People called K-pop idols robots or manufactured once they found out about their training regime, and they were incorrectly criticized for not writing their own music. So JYP said, alright, bet, and introduced a boy group that practically had full creative control over its work, writing...
That's weird. That's weird. It was like most artists in the US or don't write their own music anyway. Like the only one that is like very like strict to writing your own music or you don't get no credit would be like rap. But other than that, like fucking Beyonce doesn't write her fucking music. Rihanna doesn't write her music. Like I'm sure they write some of their own shit, but like I've seen where Sia writes a lot of their shit. They're fucking almost any American pop song, if you look at the writers, it's fucking 100 people on that list. So that's weird that they would criticize them for that. And then like they're doing training and they're like practicing. I mean, like it's weird. That's a weird criticism.
Producing and arranging nearly all of their own music. And it worked. Stray Kids won Best Male Artist at the 2018 Mamas and Best New Artist at the 33rd Golden Disc Awards. They got a Daesung for Performance of the Year at the 2021 Asia Artist Awards and were crowned World K-Pop Star at the Circle Chart Music Awards in 2022. Their debut album, I Am Not, was eventually certified platinum for sales exceeding 250,000 copies. Their first Japanese single, Top, debuted at #1 on the Oricon Singles Chart, making Stray Kids only the 4th K-pop male artist in history to debut at the top of the chart. Their collaboration with Alesso and DJ Corsic for Going Dumb for PUBG landed them at number 13 on the Billboard Hot Dance and Electronic Chart.
PUBG.
The music video for Thunderous hit 100 million views on YouTube in 55 days, and they topped the Billboard 200 chart with Ordinary, making them the 3rd K-pop boy group behind BTS and Super M to achieve that. Stray Kids, in a testament to their global popularity and K-pop's global expansion, became the first JYP artist to ever have an album sell over 1 million copies, when Noisy sold over 1.1 million in its first month. Furthermore, they also became JYP's first double million selling artist and triple million selling artist after dropping Maxident in 2022, making them the 2nd fastest artist in Hontel history to have an album reach 2 million copies sold, doing so in just 6 days. Maxident also is the 2nd highest first week sales total in Hontel history, achieving
People didn't have those numbers. People haven't had those numbers since like physical sales were like the only way to get music. And like 1 million, like 1.4, 2 million was like crazy numbers back then, but like even crazier now. Like the biggest albums that come out now don't do a fucking 1 million in the first week.
Consecutive #1 albums in the US and becoming the 4th Korean and non-English album to top the Billboard 200, Stray Kids has now sold over 10 million albums worldwide. It's because of this success and labelmate Twice's popularity that JYP Entertainment entered into a historic and landmark relationship with Republic Records, signing Twice, ITZY, and Stray Kids to its roster. Being signed to multiple record labels is a fairly common practice in the music industry because, depending on the business arrangement, all parties will offer something different for the artist. For example, it's really common for K-pop artists to sign with Japanese record labels like Avex because Avex helps in Japanese album distribution, helping to get media placements, tours, and other promotions. The same goes for Republic Records. Republic is a well-known record label here in the USA and has a fairly good reputation for how it treats its artists, which includes people like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Post Malone, and many others.
Didn't Taylor Swift just get like fucked over by Republic? Or they tried? Or they succeeded? Something about like her... I forgot. It was some like... it was something about like her masters. Like they either like... They was gonna sell it to her, but they didn't. Or some shit. But I had heard that she got kind of like fucked over by Republic. Maybe it wasn't Republic, but by a album or
a joint venture like this is significant for K-pop, not only because it signifies the USA's growing acceptance of the genre, but it's also a sign that JYP's initial vision of K-pop becoming a global phenomenon is finally becoming a reality. Stray Kids gets the magnificent task of charting new waters where K-pop is already a known thing. Given their success so far and the fact that they are set to become the first Korean act to headline Lollapalooza in France soon, Stray Kids is showing that just because everyone knows what K-pop is now, doesn't mean there aren't new barriers and walls to
yeah, I heard that they did a song for the fucking Deadpool movie. I heard that shit yesterday.
Dismantle. Stray Kids is a product of the time they debuted and the legacy that developed before them, but they are also spearheading the charge to ensure that legacy isn't lost. Stray Kids writes their own music to showcase that Korea isn't producing robots, it's producing real and unmatched talent that deserves to be heard. Stray Kids helped their own label finally surpass SM and YG, becoming the largest of the big three just 5 months after debuting in 2018, helping JYP Entertainment achieve the largest of the big three just 5 months. Label finally surpassed SM and YG,
Oh,
becoming the largest of the big three just 5 months after debuting in 2018, helping JYP Entertainment achieve $980.26 million in market capitalization. It's
They're making
because of
some
acts
bread,
like
boy.
Stray Kids that JYP has his artists dominating the West, acts like Need You in Japan, or NMIX reaching Spanish-speaking audiences now. Stray Kids also pays it forward by
I might peep
providing
that.
a safe NMIX reaching
in mix. Let me try to keep that in my head.
Spanish-speaking audiences now.
Yeah, let me
Stray
know, Jen.
Kids also
NMIX
pays it
is good.
forward by providing a safe space for their fans, writing songs with gender-neutral pronouns, experimenting with fashion. They donate to causes, more recently with Hyunjin and Changbin both donating 100 million Korean won to victims
I will say that their fashion is one thing I am not a fan of, but if y'all knew what my fashion was, y'all be like, motherfucker, you wear shirts and gym shorts 98% of the time.
dollars in market capitalization.
But, like-
It's because of acts like Stray Kids that
I mean, I guess it's just I don't like baggy clothes, and I think that's what a lot of fashion is going, is like super baggy clothes.
JYP has his artists dominating the West, acts like Need You in Japan, or NMIX reaching Spanish-speaking audiences now. Stray Kids also pays it forward by providing a safe space for their fans, writing songs with gender-neutral pronouns, experimenting with fashion. They donate to causes, more recently with Hyunjin
Also, a lot of artists dress weird anyway.
and Changbin
I
both
guess not weird, but like I don't know. I overall I don't understand fashion anyway. So to me, almost anything outside of bland regular clothes is weird.
both donating
But, like, most
100 million
artists have,
Korean
like,
won to
connections
victims
to,
of the
like,
earthquakes in Turkey and Syria.
fashion
K-pop has
companies,
now
so they
become
always,
a
like,
global
dress them, I
phenomenon,
guess.
and Stray Kids is
But to me,
leading
it's-
its fourth
I mean, even, like,
generation
K-pop
by
artists,
not
we kinda-
abandoning the work that was
They'd
done
definitely be
before
wearing
them.
shit I would
Despite
never wear.
popular belief, Stray Kids is not trying to take
Unless I was
BTS's
like,
place.
unless maybe I was like a artist or a celebrity, and then maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. Wearing a lot of clothes is very uncomfortable at times.
They are growing to ensure that K-pop doesn't get written off as a meaningless viral sensation. They are a time capsule of the survival show generation, bridging the gap between the past and the future to ensure that K-pop's success around the world isn't forgotten, and that's why Stray Kids' success matters. It's why their artistry matters, and why Stray Kids everywhere, all around the world, makes Stray Kids stay.
Hi, we're Aceable,
No.
the online driver's ed course
Get
that
outta
makes
here.
mastering the road surprisingly enjoyable.
Let me go
I
back.
subscribe to Stray Kids.
Hold on. Let me go back to Homeboy.
Stray Kids has gone from
Homeboy
survival
video. Give this shit a like right here. Give this boy a comment real quick. Don't judge my spelling. It's a good thing we got the spell check right here, boy. Yeah. Anyway, shout out to Johnathan Miller Music. Very thorough. The only part I really wasn't, I guess, super interested in was like the whole background of K-pop in general, and it was really just, I guess, the JYP label. But other than that, I did get some pronunciation explanations, and then it was definitely interesting to see how they were formed. And like I knew they had big songs from like what I was like reacting to, because like I would obviously see the numbers at like of views of how much they would get on their music and shit. But I didn't know they're selling fucking 2 million copies in 6 days. But yeah, pretty solid. Definitely gives me, and I mean, I guess it didn't give me a whole lot of useful information as far as hey, look, they got intro to 8. No. I want that whole album to be a surprise. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, it didn't give me like a lot of like useful information as far as the EP or the album that's coming out is, but it did give me a lot of information about Stray Kids in general. So yeah. I mean, with that extra bit of information, I mean, I can I guess I could go in there and just kind of. It's not really gonna give me like a judging point of like but I definitely like. Now I know kind of what they went through to get to where they're at. It was definitely like a long fucking grind, and then it's crazy because they basically none of them knew each other. Then they just kind of got up, kind of pushed together. And yeah. So anyway, shout out to Johnathan Miller Music again for the video. Video was dope. Yeah, and I'm pretty excited for the EP, which is I'm assuming it's called 8. That's what I've seen online. So I'm pretty excited for that to come out. Like I said, I'll be checking it out. Well, I'll more than likely be checking it out Saturday morning, and so by the time I upload it, probably be like Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, somewhere around there. But yeah, can't wait to see what happens, and I'll catch you on the next one.